Hello. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. Oh, man, it's Monday? Wow. Monday, guys. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are doing well. We are getting ready for another quick little stream here. Continuing to work on the X-Copilot app. Make uh, sure my audio works. Let's see. Test, test, test. Okay, we're good. We got the coffee here. Um, we got the coffee. Make sure my stream is good, and let's make some progress. I'll show you guys. I've been working on this overnight, as always. Worked on this overnight a little bit, and I think we definitely finished the God file audit, so it's nice. So let me reduce my camera here. Let's go. All right, guys. So let's get back to what we're doing. Let me just look at the cursor here. I'll show you guys where we're at. So, where are we at? Yeah, we made it an audit. We moved on to the next audit. We're now working on the um, product go-to-market GTM distribution audit. We have a private one, private audit, which I'm going to be working on more about in private. As I mentioned, we are going to be building distribution in private. I believe I'm just going to make a separate private repo for distribution to figure out a pipeline and something else. Because in our case, we need some sort of moat for the product. In this case, it's going to be distribution. You guys can figure out your own distribution. And for now, I'm not too sure what we're going to do, but right now we're doing a GTM audit, so go-to-market audit, essentially focusing a little bit more on the onboarding flow, new user flow. So that's what we've been working on recently. So we want to get through everything. So to kind of explain the big picture stuff, I'll show you guys the closed PRs recently that we closed already. Okay, so we got a couple closed. So we kind of this GTM stuff. Yesterday we were doing this. Well, this is not yesterday. This is yesterday. We did just some basic God file stuff. We finally finished it. We added the analytics settings, the analytics sidecar, and I'm refactored it out of the server folder into a separate analytics folder, just because the way we designed this is a fire and forget. It's a sidecar. It should not be part of the core service. Then we just redesigned the PM2 manager, which is what controls the processes, controls the API, the server, the analytics sidecar, any other backend processes. It does not control the front end because that's deployed in Cloudflare. And a couple more follow-ups here with the PM2. Now we finally added this. This GTM stuff starts with the admin session only onboarding preview. So I'm not sure if we have to maybe redeploy the front end, but I can check. So we added a flow to where, as an admin, you can test proper onboarding for new users to make sure it works properly and actually onboards users. Then we did this just a couple of truth terms, like privacy terms, like a couple of just product polishes. And here's where we are actually starting to add a little bit more onboarding flow. So that's the whole GTM part. Let me go back to cursor. So it's mostly about adding like onboarding flows and wired everything in for it. Now the next kind of thing, we have a couple of other stuff. We have this is the public audit. So again, the audits are not committed. This is something I do myself. I run an audit. This was run with Fable originally. So do my audit with Fable. Let me see, ship plan. So it's telling us, I like to do this in parallel. So we have a couple of things here, a couple of PRs and difficulty level. So we already have this admin onboarding preview. We've done this. It says suggesting PR number 2, which is easy, medium, is small endpoint. The work is the hydrate race with Scout last run. Persist desk agenda edits. Desk agenda edits, yeah. So we just want to do this one. It says 2 and 6 in parallel. So number 6 is we need a pricing plus SEO stuff. So these are both easy/medium. Because they're easy/medium, I'm just going to use Grok for this. So please go ahead and open up an issue for PR2 and a separate issue for PR6 and separately ship PR2 and PR6 in parallel. Do not ship them as a stack, but ship each one as an MG single PR stack. These are easy/medium PRs, so just be careful and do them one at a time. PR2 and PR6. Okay, I just, it looks like it missed a lot of my messages here from the beginning, I guess, but whatever. It's understanding it, context, and also I just wanted to fire off these two, and later on we'll start some other ones. So this, again, this is just a audit that I did on the product itself. It was not any real new features or anything like this. It's mostly just polishing things that are already there, kind of polishing everything like the SEO stuff, make sure that we have some proper SEO setup, and just basic stuff, really. We already have Google Analytics. Looking at maybe adding the sitemap so we can submit this to Google Search Console so we can get some SEO rankings, maybe write a blog post. This is distribution, like, to a degree, but SERPs are, they take a long time. So it is a good idea to kind of start it, but the thing with SERP, it's a different ball game. It's with SERP, you just start it. You need to start it as early as kind of like feasible. So maybe today we're kind of already starting a little bit of SEO, OG image. We already have everything. You want to start early because it takes a couple of weeks just to get some feedback. And if you don't have any feedback, then you need to kind of readjust a little bit. It's a slow game. Each adjustment takes a couple of weeks, maybe even even 1 or 2 months to really see any results. So SERP is definitely a really long-term strategy, but again, it's very effective if it's done right, and if you do the right content, you get the correct rankings, everything is set up properly. It can get a lot of nice. It's pretty much free traffic from SERPs, but it shouldn't. For the initial stuff, you should not rely on SERP. So anyway, we're cooking these two PRs. Let me go back to the product and just use the product itself a little bit. Restart everything. See where we're at. Okay. Let me look here. We need to add I think we need to still sync up to main and restart everything. So we did fix the voice part. It does, every hour it will change and pull new posts depending on if you've made new posts. So I haven't posted any news, so it's not gonna update this. But yeah, 2 hours ago it rewrote the card with additional information, so it continues to update the voice properly, which is good. For the settings, I'm not sure, or for the analytics, I'm not sure if we fixed it yet. We kind of fixed it a little bit to make it a little bit better, more visually like appealing, and we still need to fine tune this a little bit. But we got this insights as well that we added, and looks like this is a bug here we need to fix. The pop over shows up weird. So little stuff like this, and here as well. So these are two small front end bugs I can probably fire off. Let me take a screenshot and just get this polished up. No problem. We can do this in parallel. It's not really a big deal. I like to take screenshots sometimes. It's easier than explaining, Take a screenshot, drop it in there. Okay, we need let me show you guys the prompt. So cursor is still working, but I'm not going to do this in parallel because its code changes. So we are going to just cue this next. So we need a small front end polish for the tool tip / pop overs. You see the ones near the edges of the screen, they render partly off screen. Can you please open an issue plus a small focused PR to address this? Easy. I don't know. I like to say nice and easy, but I don't really need to say anything. But it's like saying make no mistakes. Does it really matter? I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But sometimes it's nice to say. Anyway, so we're gonna do this. Technically, we're gonna have 3 PRs now. Let me go back to Mergestorm. I'll show you guys Mergestorm, how we're doing there. Any new updates? I also like to give you guys updates on Mergestorm because that Mergestorm is my main product, right? This is where all my focus goes into Mergestorm, and this X-Copilot app is something I'm doing for just just to show. First of all, obviously building up a real product. Of course, this is a real product that we're building that has Stripe subscription, that has users. We're getting a little bit more users here and there, so we're still collecting feedback. The best thing we can do for, especially for users, is I like to tell like friends and family, check out this X-Copilot app. Check out, sign up for an account, try to use it. I'll upgrade your account for free, something like this, and they give us some nice feedback. So this is something we're still working on. This is a real product. It's open source, and just wanted to mostly also show you guys the power of Mergestorm, how to properly use it, etc., etc. So here's Mergestorm here, and as you can see, we have a couple of PRs here. Now we don't care about these. These are kind of old PRs. I can actually archive them. This will automatically show all of your open PRs that you have. So these are PRs that I've done. For example, this is a review that I've done for someone else. So we can archive this. So it's going to put it here into archive. So the PRs that we're interested in is right here. We have the X-Copilot, the one that just landed. This is one of the PRs for the audit. Now, as you can see here, you have the adopt button. Why? Because this is a regular PR. So this was opened as GHPR. We have our own CLI, and that's what we're working on right now. So we have a full-on, we already have the CLI. If you go to Mergestorm CLI, it's public here. So if you check out here, you see Mergestorm CLI. This is a public repo. We upgraded the version. We're going to be doing another big upgrade. So 2 weeks ago is when we updated it, but we've done a lot of upgrades to Mergestorm since. So we're going to be updating the CLI. And the pipeline that we're building towards is API. The CLI runs on top of the API because the API just the CLI is just a wrapper for the API, essentially. Okay, you go to Mergestorm, and there's API keys. You can get an API key under account, I believe, but we're gonna make it a little bit easier. We're gonna make a straight up We're gonna make a straight up API documentation. So under account or under CLI, you can see you can have an API key. I just don't want to open it right now. So the way this works, right, is the CLI just wraps the API. So here's what we're building for Mergestorm this week. The plan is we're gonna build out proper documentation for the API. So if you really want to use the API, you can use the API. We need some rate limits, etc. We need to stabilize it. But we work on the API, then we work on the CLI. Again, the CLI is open source, right? The CLI sits on top of the API. What sits on top of the CLI? MCP. The MCP server essentially tells the agent how to use the CLI. But what sits on top of the MCP? On top of the MCP, you have the skills.md file. So that's the full pipeline. We're kind of building this sidetrack. It's something that we also need to keep updated. It's a little bit of technical debt, but it's a full pipeline that stems from layer 0, which is the API, layer 1, CLI, layer 2, MCP, layer 3, skills. This kind of little sidecar pipeline almost, I call it like a little side quest, but it's really important because it allows you to hook up your own agents beautifully to Mergestorm. So yes, you can use Vortex for patching, but a lot of you guys, I don't blame you, you have your own agents. You have Cursor, you have Cloud Code, you have your own agentic loop maybe, whatever you have, and that's great. We're not trying to replace your agent. I think the best use case here, so the idea is we create an open source MCP server that you can install on your Cursor or whatever, and you can also download a skills.md file. It'll be part of the MCP. And then all you have to do is tell Cursor, fire off a review, watch it for any comments, patch the comments, and then continue firing off reviews. But the key thing is, this is just like any other code review agent, right? You have, this would be like any other code review agent in the sense that, well, CodeRabbit and greptile, I'm sure, also have CLI or MCP that you can hook up your agent to. But where we differ is we give you a lot more control, and we give you a lot more options and settings when it comes to your review loop. We have a built-in review loop already that we kind of optimize based on our own judgments and opinions, for example. So initially, everyone starts off on Vortex Core. This is the standard one. When you get one review, it's one credit. It's nice and cheap. It's what most people like, and if they're happy with this, go. This is what they use. I always like to offer the option. I think it's important to have a cost-effective option for people who just want, a review, a kind of a good all-around review that's quick and that's cheap. We have that option. You just turn off the smart router. You get core only, one credit each review. That's it. No weirdness. No weird stuff. But if you want to, a lot of people at the same time, I noticed they use multiple review agents. They use CodeRabbit, they use GrabTile, they use Kodo, they use I don't know, GitHub Copilot, Cursor BugBot. There's a lot of code review agents. But the thing is, we give you additional specialists you can call. So, the way I use this myself. So this is I'm personally using this every single repo. You can see I'm using this on X-Copilot and my private repos. This is the flow I'm using, and again, I'm trying to always optimize for costs. Right, I'm doing hundreds of PRs per day or per week, thousands per week. So I need that good cost. So I'm not invoking extra specialists just because for fun. I'm doing this because there's a real benefit, and at the same time, the cost is still considerably lower, and the cost is very efficient for everything. You're still paying, even with the credits. I mean, you're enabling all these specialists, but it's only gonna use only up to 5 extra or up to 3 extra. The other thing is, we might need to surface these settings, but the thing with these specialists, it's not as simple as you think. So what starts off is, the simplest way to think about this is you can just fire off a review with certain specialists based on the PR, right? So right now we have the smart router decide this. It looks at the PR, it decides, okay, for this PR we're going to invoke security and performance, for example. This is what you're seeing on the work tab. See, in this case, you're seeing the core, which gets invoked every time. And you also, in this case, it invoked the tests specialist because it looks like we've written some tests. In this case, these guys, they don't show the specialists because we need to adopt these. So we click adopt. It will adopt this normal PR into an MG PR stack, and you'll see it will show these specialists. So Vortex is still running the review, I believe. So it's going to take a second. Let's take a look at this one and this one. So we can adopt these two as well. And I'll show you guys the specialists that were or were not invoked. So as you can see, this is a little bit of a bigger PR. So we have front end, tests, security, and core. But see what happens here. What happens after? This is just the initial review. On the initial review, you invoke these 3 specialists. This is something you can do through the MG CLI or through the MCP. You could tell your agent, hey, please invoke a review on this PR. Analyze the PR. We have these 8 specialists available. Please go ahead and run the review with the specialists you think that are required for this. Okay, so it will essentially do the same exact thing through the MCP or through the CLI. But what happens after that? Once you get your findings back from these specialists, like let me show you guys here, it invoked initial review. It invoked these specialists. These guys found findings, 4 findings, 2 findings. What do you do on a follow-up? Well, there's a couple of different options. First of all, if you want to save costs entirely, on follow-up reviews, and anytime you patch this and you do a follow-up, you would only invoke core if you want to save time, right? Or if you want to save costs. Like if you want to find a good balance between still using the specialist to get those findings, but at the same time so each follow-up review is not costing you too much. So your option 1 is to only invoke core on follow-ups. That's a decent option. It's what we've been using for some time, but it feels like something is still missing. So what we did is on follow-up, it's called we call it sticky hiring. We do sticky hiring. So if on the first follow-up and the first initial review, we invoked front-end, tests, and security. Each of them found findings. That means on the follow-up, we're also going to invoke security, tests, and front-end. Because they found findings. If they don't find findings, then we're not going to invoke them on follow-up. Does that make sense? So let me show you maybe a different one. Maybe this one here. This PR right here. So first one, Look, we invoked tests and front end. However, front end did not find any findings. So that means that on follow-up, we are not going to invoke front end. We're only going to invoke tests. So it's actually still patching the initial review. Cyclone is still patching this initial review. Once it's done, what's going to happen is on the follow-up review, it's no longer going to invoke front end. Why? Because it didn't find any findings. So it's not going to invoke it. It's only going to follow through with the test agent. So it's going to hire the test, only the test specialist on the follow-up review. So now you're only paying 2 credits instead of 1 for the core or 3 for all the specialists. So this is what the smart router does. And in addition to that, one of the killer features I think we've added, well, I know we've added, but I think this is one of the killer features we have, is the governance. This is something unique and something I've been kind of, something that always remains in the back of my mind a little bit in terms of like when a PR gets bloated, when a PR gets too bloated, we need something to govern it and say, wait a second, we should not continue to patch this PR, or we should revert some changes. This is what governance does. For now, the only thing that governance can do is it can throttle. It can throttle a review. It can say, wait a second, we're done reviewing. Stop reviewing this. If it's looking like the PR starts to bloat or it's chasing some weirdness, it's able to say, wait a second, stop everything, throttle review, we're done. Okay, it's also able to say continue. So after the 3rd iteration, it'll say, okay, wait, we are doing some patching, but this is still valid, let's continue. So this is the governance. That's what it does. We're also going to make an update to where governance can actually say, wait a second, revert that change, revert this change, or revert this last change, bring it back. So this is kind of a little bit more complicated. So we're still making sure the throttling works well, and then we're going to move on with the revert, because sometimes the coding agents go kind of out of hand and we need to revert the last change. And so the way we kind of approach this is we split the review lifecycle into different stages. The first stage is the initial review. This is where you initially do the review. And when you fire off your agents, the specialists, you do the fan out, you figure out the different lanes, you kind of grab everything together. That's the initial review. Then you have the follow-up phase where you're continuing to do follow-ups. There's different strategies. As I mentioned, you can use only core, you can do sticky hiring, you can also do fuzz. You can say, well, if I can hire up to 3 or up to 5 extra specialists, I already hired front end and test. How about maybe we try architecture and performance now? This is another option for follow-up reviews. Personally, I do not think that's a good idea, but someone might think it's a good idea, and someone might want to experiment with this. And this is where the MG, the CLI, the MCP, and the skills server or skills files come in. All that infrastructure comes in to allow your agents to essentially decide on their own custom review loop. So we do offer you a smart router. If you don't want to use the smart router, you can disable it, and you can just manually hire your own specialist at any point or time that you need. You can create a whole new fleet and a whole new custom work, and we make it super easy with the MCP and the skills server. So that's the idea. And again, with Cyclone, this is optional, but it is nice if you just want to. This is nice if you. Oh my god, it looks like we. Okay, let me go back to her. This is nice if you want to create your own custom loops. But anyway, we have 3 PRs right here. We actually have 4. This is the Mergestorm one. I'm going to finish it later. So these guys are all churning. I know this was a little bit of a short stream, but I just wanted to show you guys and tell you guys, keep you updated of what we're doing. So we just fired off a couple of PRs. We're continuing with the GTM audit. We want to focus on the new user onboarding. We've refactored the analytics so you can probably keep track of what's happening on your website. And we're finalizing some SEO stuff and doing a little bit of SERP optimization ranking, so we can just kind of settle in, park the website with some nice SEO and try to get some rankings slowly. And we're also working on a private distribution pipeline, which I will keep you guys posted on later. But as you can see here, here's just a final overview again of this sticky hire process in action. In the initial review, we hired tests and front end. The front end found no findings. On follow up, as you can see, we hired tests again. No front end, only core and tests. Tests found one finding, core found no findings. Okay, so tests found one finding. We still invoke core every time. And the third one, we finally got tests once again. And as you can see here, no findings. We're all good. We're all clear. We're done. So this is a beautiful example of how the loop converges and how it actually works properly. So if you guys want to test it out and check it out, we do have a free plan on Mergestorm. And it's about 30 free reviews. You can test it out. You can run this on one PR or a couple of PRs. Try to the specialist, the smart router. Everything is available. So thank you guys all for stopping by the stream. We do have to keep. I do have to go. I know this was a little bit of a shorter stream. We haven't done as much dog fooding of the product itself, but we continue to work on this, and we are going to continue improving this product. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'll see you guys in the next one.